Steelers Nation, what's going on? Before we dive into today's huge breaking news, I just want to remind you all, this team is working every single day to get better, to upgrade the roster, to give us the best shot at chasing a Lombardi trophy. And here on this channel, we're doing the same, always looking to bring you the most exclusive, most up-to-date Steelers content. So do me a favor right now, hit that like button because it helps the channel grow. And if you're new here, subscribe so you never miss a single update about your Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, let's jump into the big story. The Pittsburgh Steelers are signing former New England Patriots safety Jabril Peppers after his surprise release. This is another major move in what has already been one of the most aggressive offseasons we've seen in years from Omar Khan and the front office. Think about this for a second. The Steelers already pulled off the blockbuster trade for Jalen Ramsey, a former All-Pro corner. They also added veteran Darius Slay, giving Pittsburgh one of the most intimidating secondaries in the NFL on paper. But with all those gains, we also had a huge loss, moving on from star safety Minkah Fitzpatrick. That left a hole that fans weren't sure the team could really patch up. Now, the depth chart looked decent with Juan Thornhill and Deshaun Elliott, but here's the problem. Elliott just went down with a knee injury. That left us thin at safety, and you know how quickly a secondary can collapse in today's pass-heavy NFL if you don't have depth. Enter Jabril Peppers. Peppers was one of the bright spots on New England's defense. He was tough, versatile, and had the kind of energy that fires up a locker room. But in a shocking move, the Patriots cut him during their final roster trim. It caught the entire league off guard. According to Ian Rappaport and Mike Garafolo, multiple teams tried to land him, but it's the Steelers who got it done. Last season, Peppers battled through lower body injuries and only played 6 games, but even in that limited time, he racked up 40 tackles and an interception, showing he still has juice. At just 28 years old, this is not some washed-up veteran. This is a guy who can step in, play physical football, and give Pittsburgh a dangerous rotation in the back end. And you better believe Mike Tomlin is already licking his chops, thinking about how to deploy Ramsey, Slay, Thornhill, and now Peppers. That's flexibility, that's depth, and most importantly, that's insurance for a long season. Let's not forget, Steelers are coming off that dramatic win against the Jets in Week 1. The defense bent, broke at times, and former Steelers QB Justin Fields gave them headaches. But when it mattered, it was Jalen Ramsey making the stop on Garrett Wilson to seal the victory. Imagine having another playmaker like Peppers rotating in that situation. This signing isn't just about patching an injury. It's about building a secondary that can adapt, rotate, and stay fresh deep into the season. And with the AFC loaded with elite quarterbacks, Pittsburgh knows they can't afford to gamble with depth at safety. So, Steelers Nation, how do you feel about Peppers joining the squad? Is he the missing piece in the secondary puzzle, or just another depth signing? As if that wasn't enough news for 1 week, let's pivot to the other major story buzzing around the NFL. The possibility that the Steelers could be in play for Tyreek Hill. Yeah, you heard that right. Cheetah in black and gold. Now let's set the stage. The Steelers' wide receiver room was already under the microscope heading into Week 1. Everyone knew DK Metcalf would be the top dog, but who would step up behind him? Well, it was Calvin Austin III who stole the show against the Jets. 4 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Not bad for a guy many doubted could be more than a gadget player. Still, the rumors won't die down. Tyreek Hill's frustration with the Miami Dolphins after last season is well documented. He had that rocky offseason, the public comments, the apologies, the drama. And now, after Miami's embarrassing Week 1 performance, speculation is heating up again that Hill might be available. Legendary Miami insider Armando Salguero even went on record this week saying Miami's asking price could be as low as a late 3rd rounder, maybe a 4th or 5th rounder. That's pocket change for a receiver of Hill's caliber, even with just 2 years left on his contract. Here's where it gets interesting. The Steelers have already done business with Miami this year. That blockbuster trade that brought Ramsey and tight end Jonnu Smith to Pittsburgh while sending Minkah Fitzpatrick back to the Dolphins, that shook the league. And guess what? Most analysts say the Steelers already won that deal. Add to that the fact that Pittsburgh is projected to have over 10 draft picks in 2026, they have the capital to make another splash. Omar Khan has shown he's not afraid of bold moves. If he thinks Tyreek Hill can be the missing piece, don't be surprised if he pulls the trigger. But here's the catch. This locker room is clicking. After 1 week, the vibes are good. Calvin Austin is producing. DK Metcalf is the clear WR1. Do you really want to risk throwing Hill into the mix with all his baggage and reputation as a potential distraction? This is where Mike Tomlin comes in. If there's any coach in the NFL who can handle a big personality, it's Tomlin. He's managed Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and countless others. If Hill were to come to Pittsburgh, Tomlin would be the one to set the tone. Head down, get to work, or you don't play. And if that's the case, think about what a trio of Metcalf, Hill, and Austin could do to defenses. Combine that with a defense now featuring Ramsey, Slay, Peppers, and Watt. Steelers Nation, we're talking about a Super Bowl roster. Head coach Mike Tomlin spoke on Tuesday and gave us the latest injury news heading into Week 2 against the Seattle Seahawks. And Steelers fans, it's a mixed bag. Tomlin confirmed that 3 defenders, defensive lineman Derek Harmon, safety Deshaun Elliott, and linebacker Malik Harrison are all expected to be out this Sunday. All 3 are dealing with knee injuries, which is never what you want to hear this early in the season. Elliott's loss is especially tough. He recorded 6 tackles in Week 1 against the Jets before leaving with that knee injury. The Steelers signed Elliott to bring stability and toughness at the safety position, especially after moving on from Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, with him sidelined, Berg's depth in the secondary is already being tested. Malik Harrison was brought in to provide some rotational strength at linebacker, and Derek Harmon has been working hard to carve out a role on that defensive line. Losing them hurts, no doubt. But there was also some good news. Tomlin said he's optimistic that cornerback Joey Porter Jr. could play this Sunday after dealing with a hamstring issue. And perhaps even more importantly, he said he's really optimistic that Nick Herbig could return to the field. Now let's focus on Herbig for a second, because this is a player Steelers Nation should be really excited about. Herbig, now in his 3rd NFL season, didn't play in Week 1 against the Jets because of that hamstring injury. But this guy is quietly becoming one of the most promising young defenders on this team.
In his rookie season back in 2023, Herbig racked up 27 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, and 2 forced fumbles in 17 games, even though he didn't start once. Then in year 2, he leveled up. He played just 13 games with 5 starts, but still managed 22 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 5.5 sacks, and 4 forced fumbles. That kind of production from a rotational player is no joke. When you think about the Steelers' defensive tradition, linebackers who are relentless, tough, and disruptive, Herbig fits that mold perfectly. And the fact that Tomlin is optimistic about his return this week against Seattle should have Steelers Nation buzzing. And it's not just the fans who see the potential. Back in August, before the season kicked off, T.J. Watt himself spoke about Herbig and couldn't stop praising the young linebacker. He's so hungry. He really is. He's a very hungry individual, asking the right questions still to this day and just constantly working, whether it's pre-practice with nobody out there, post-practice, just working on new moves. He's not afraid to fail, but he doesn't fail much. It's been fun to watch him grow. Now, when one of the greatest defenders in the NFL, a guy who's chasing Hall of Fame status, talks about you like that, you know you're doing something right. Watt went on to say he's done a great job. I think that's the biggest key to being an outside linebacker here is you want to be a well-rounded player, and not just for yourself, but for the whole team. And you want to be reliable. I think he's working his way towards that. That's not just praise. That's mentorship. Watt sees something in Herbig that could make him a cornerstone of this defense for years to come. Let's be real here. The Steelers need bodies on defense right now. Losing Elliott, Harrison, and Harmon in 1 week is tough. And while the secondary has Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, and some depth to lean on, you can't keep losing players and expect the unit to stay sharp. Herbig returning this week could be the spark the defense needs to keep its rhythm. Remember, in Week 1 against the Jets, Pittsburgh pulled out a 34-32 victory. Aaron Rodgers threw 4 touchdowns and reminded everyone that he can still sling it with the best of them. But the defense struggled at times, especially against former Steelers quarterback Justin Fields, who was able to move the ball more than fans were comfortable with. It was Alex Highsmith who stepped up in a huge way, recording 8 tackles and a sack. Ramsey sealed the game with a critical stop on Garrett Wilson late. But adding Herbig back into that mix gives the Steelers another weapon to throw at opposing offenses. And against Seattle this Sunday, they'll need every weapon available. The Seahawks may not be Super Bowl favorites, but they always play physical, and they've got young talent that can make plays. Having Herbig's energy, speed, and pass rush ability could make a huge difference. Now let's take a step back and think about the bigger picture. Pittsburgh is trying to start this season 2-0. They've got momentum after that win over the Jets, but they also know that staying healthy is going to be key to making a deep run. Mike Tomlin's optimism about Joey Porter Jr. and Nick Herbig is encouraging, but the team has to be cautious. Hamstring injuries are tricky. The last thing you want is for a player to rush back too quickly and then be sidelined for weeks. Still, if both of those guys can return against Seattle, the defense immediately looks stronger. Add in Watt, Highsmith, Ramsey, and Slay, and you've got a unit that can keep the Steelers competitive in every single game. So here we are in just 1 week of the regular season. The Steelers have already made a shocking signing in Jabril Peppers, bolstering a secondary that is starting to look downright scary. At the same time, whispers of Tyreek Hill in black and gold are swirling, with insiders suggesting the price might actually be affordable. This is the kind of aggressive, no-fear front office approach that Steelers fans have been begging for. And the best part? It feels like Pittsburgh isn't done yet. But now I want to hear from you. Do you think Jabril Peppers was the right move to shore up the safety spot? And what about Tyreek Hill? Should the Steelers take the risk and go all in on adding another superstar wideout, or should they let Calvin Austin continue to prove himself? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I know Steelers Nation is going to have strong opinions about this. And before you head out, don't forget, hit that like button if you're excited about where this team is headed, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of the breaking news and analysis coming your way. This season is just getting started, and trust me, it's going to be a wild ride. Here we go, Steelers Nation.